The Test of Love, Part 4, The Thin Lines. At MayQ Inspiration Group, we've been fortunate to have the opportunity to connect with countless individuals and listen to their stories. In the past, during our For What the Heart Say, which means Thay Lời Muốn Nói program, we frequently encountered themes of love and relationships, weaving their way through various television topics. Even after our television journey ended and we shifted our focus to spiritual tourism and numerology-based life management courses, we've continued to have the opportunity to listen to the stories of many. Through the lens of numerology, we've been able to delve into these stories on an even deeper, more nuanced level, often sparking insightful and thought-provoking conversations. The test of love, every time we delve into this subject, the following quote never loses its relevance. To love and be loved is perhaps one of the most fundamental desires for us as humans in this life. But love itself is probably the one thing that would need a lifetime to ponder upon, and the one thing that would hurt enough to also need a lifetime to heal. Lately, I've noticed there are these recurring signals, this test of love among the people in my life, and it's been on my mind since. And in one of our sharing sessions in the most recent online level 4 course, the signals, the pattern became even more apparent that I believed it was time to address this topic. We considered many different titles, but in the end, the simple phrase, the thin line, with only few words, seemed to be perfectly captured the subtle nuances of these challenges. Our first story comes from a lady in her 40s, a stage in life we would typically associate with a certain degree of maturity and wisdom. Having delved deeper into her life through numerology charts, she shared that she now had a newfound sense of stability compared to level 2. However, just a moment after, she said persistently, "There's just one thing that's troubling me, and I would appreciate your advice. I am in a relationship that I believe is pure and respectable, but those around me don't see it that way. They are judgmental and critical. What should I do then?" She continued, "I've had my fair share of these tests of love in the past. I've been practicing mindfulness, gratitude meditation, and many other meditative practices to work on myself. So far, I've managed to navigate the other tests of love very well. But this particular test, there's something still bothering me, something that's preventing me from feeling truly at peace." I asked her if she could describe the relationship in more details so I could better understand the situation and give more specific advice. She replied, "He's like a nephew to me. I love him dearly and value our connection. I'm not sure why I care for him so much." I continued, "Nephew? Are you related by blood?" She said, "No, he's much younger. I just feel a very strong sense of love and care for him, like he's my own nephew." At this point, it became clear to me that we needed to have a more careful and serious discussion about this. I asked her, "Do you have your own family? If you are single, then just continue living your life the way you want to. Don't worry too much about what others think, because what you are doing isn't illegal or immoral." In return for my support, however, after a moment of hesitation, she confessed, "I'm married. My husband and I are still living together. Our children are growing up normally." I felt silent. Considering recent, very similar events that have come to my attention, I said to her, "Given your circumstances, you need to be very careful in this relationship with this boy you consider a nephew. In most extramarital relationships, People don't start out with the intention of pursuing the other or blatantly cheating. As such, initially, everything may seem innocent and pure enough. However, what happens after can quickly escalate beyond what we initially expect. In any intimate relationship, it's easy to lose sight of boundaries. The reality is, you have a family, which means there are boundaries to be respected. It's crucial to maintain a safe distance from someone of the opposite sex, especially when the intimate feelings are involved. Through observation and countless stories, I've come to realize the initial passion and sweetness of a marriage often fades over time. The intense passion of a new romance usually fades after a few years, eventually giving way to the familiarity of daily life, the stresses of work and family, as well as the numerous tasks in our social life. During this less than passionate period, if we neglect to maintain our connection with love, respect, and commitment, we may find ourselves drifting apart with each passing moment. Eventually, what is left of the once strong bond in this sacred marriage is only a thin fading thread. The universe is a curious place, so when we allow ourselves to drift and fade, naturally we will then be drawn to other things more exciting. This line of marriage is so thin and fragile that it can be broken the moment one decides to let go or treat a single misstep. At the same time, there will be these new factors appearing in your life who seem to share the same wavelengths as you. It's natural to feel drawn to them. At first, your connection mostly revolves around the shared understandings, slowly deepening over time. You realize that you and this person seem to have a lot in common, so many shared experiences, and eventually you begin to prioritize this new relationship. Gradually, this becomes a habit, and without realizing it, your connection with your legitimate partner begins to fade so much that eventually you only go through the motions of a marriage out of habit or obligation rather than out of love. The rest of your attention, your joy and affection are entirely shifted towards this new direction with whom you would want to bond and spend your time. When faced with such a situation, many of us often try to reassure ourselves, telling ourselves that our marriage is still going strong. However, this can be a very dangerous illusion. The boundaries between friendship and something more can often be merely a thin line. So thin that sometimes it's no longer enough to keep you on the safe shore of an ambiguous situation. As the frequency and the depth of your interactions with this person increase, you may start to find your heart waver. It's difficult to clearly define what you are feeling, but it's pulling you closer to this person. As the relationship progresses, it's easy to get swept up in the moment, and finally you cross this line into the territory of this relationship yet to be named an unintended misstep. Unfortunately, this is a slippery slope. Once you've taken that first step, it's easy to take the second one and more, leading both parties deeper into a complex and tangled situation. So complicated that even those directly involved would realize it's a situation where pleasure is short-lived, a painful aftermath awaits, with consequences upon consequences, especially if you are with children and other relationships. Many people have spent their lives desperately trying to untangle this mess by stepping back and seeking a way to undo the harm. But taking a step back, often accompanied by hurt and misery, requires much courage. In this line-crossing affair, two key factors come into play. Ideally, both parties would be similarly aware of their situation and are both willing to retreat. Unfortunately, in reality, it's not uncommon for one person to want to reconcile while the other remains stubborn. At this point, the question becomes, do you have the strength to step back? This can be seen as a common test for many long-lasting marriages, and it's rare to find an adult with a family who dares proclaiming that they haven't faced or won't face such a challenge. Interestingly, during the same Level 4 online course session, after the first participant that I mentioned above and some others shared their experience, another participant reviewed a similar situation. After a moment of hesitation and eternal struggle, this person bravely admitted, "I'm going also through a similar test." I'm grateful to the first participant for having courageously shared her experience. It opened up this invaluable discussion so that I would know this is the universe's way of reminding me of what I must do. I too must be brave and take a step back. The lady in the first case was fortunate enough to still be on the right side of the thin line, although she needed to be extremely cautious to avoid crossing the boundary. The lady in the second circumstance, however, had already crossed the line. She was emotionally involved in the test of love with a long-time colleague. This boundary had only been breached in the past year, which prompted my curiosity. I asked her why it had only taken place last year when they had been working together for such a long time. She admitted last year that was when he confessed to me, and I couldn't control my feelings. As I delved deeper into Buddhism and Dharma teachings in recent years, I've become to understand that our lives, our encounters, and our bonds are intricately woven by the threads of karma. When we suddenly feel an intense connection with someone, it often implies a deep karmic debt from past lives. However, our karmic connection with that person in this lifetime isn't as strong or mature as the one we have with my legal spouse. As a result, we find ourselves in a state of emotional turmoil and uncertainty. There are times when your mind tells you to step back and stay put, but your heart doesn't listen. In these moments, your conscious mind is weak and can't control your actions. Instead, you are guided by subconscious patterns and karma, leading you to make certain choices. From a karmic perspective, this is the universe at work, leading you along your predetermined path. Relying solely on your willpower or conscious effort may not be enough. To overcome these challenging tests, in addition to establishing a clear boundary, you might also consider seeking spiritual guidance from a higher power or spiritual being. By sincerely opening your heart to a higher power and addressing the test of love, you can humbly ask for strength to return to a safe harbor. Without acknowledging the test and taking proactive steps to create distance, however, even the most powerful and sacred other forces cannot lend you the support you need. Interestingly, both members who encountered the thin line in relationships had both years that ended up to 6, a number associated with love as well as the test related to love. This could be a sign for us to reflect on our own lives and consider whether we might be facing a similar test. However, even if your birth date doesn't add up to 6, you might still encounter this test of love, especially for those entering their 30s and above, with numerous thin lines in your relationships that we often collectively refer to as midlife crisis. This is a common phase in marriages where routine is established and so can lead to a boredom. If you remain ignorant of the possibility of this test of love, it's easy to fall victim to these challenges. Following the stories of the 2 participants in the online Level 4 course, many participants in our subsequent offline Level 2 course reported similar experiences. Both men and women shared that their families had also faced these thin lines. Fortunately, their families had managed to overcome these challenges. During a sharing session at another level 4 course, a lady openly shared that she and her husband worked at different companies. Given the nature of her job, she would meet a lot of people daily. Since she and her husband didn't work together, they hardly had any work-related common ground, so they rarely talked, rarely shared with one another. In the meantime, new people like partners or clients would enter her life, and sometimes they would make her question her commitment. She explained, "Every time a new person comes along, I have to be extra vigilant. I constantly remind myself this is a test." I use techniques like Ho'oponopono meditation to clear negative energy, practice penance to my past karmic debts, and seek spiritual guidance. And so I gradually overcome each test peacefully. I know it's not easy to always stay vigilant and peacefully navigate these emotional fluctuations. Everyone has their own unique test in life. The key is to develop a deep self-awareness to recognize what's happening within your mind and emotions. As long as you remain conscious and haven't been completely swept away by karmic forces into crossing the thin lines of your own relationships, you must take proactive measures to establish and maintain safe boundaries with those who could potentially lead you astray. There is a powerful remedy that I've always recommended to my numerology participants, which is practicing Ho'oponopono meditation. By repeating the 4 phrases, "I'm sorry," "Please forgive me," "I thank you," "I love you," daily, while visualizing the person causing you pain and turmoil, you can gradually dissolve karmic ties and distance yourself from those who drain your energy or throw you into unhealthy patterns. Additionally, even for those who aren't currently facing similar situations, you can proactively practice Ho'oponopono and repentance before a problem arises, as it's much harder to resolve issues after they have manifested. Every day, practice repentance and seek divine guidance to help you stay on the right path and help you distinguish between predestined connections and karmic tests. You may pray for the opportunities for repentance spirits, those you have made caused emotional harm in your past lives, so that your current relationships are pure, harmonious, and free from potential harm. And most importantly, whenever you feel your heart flutter for someone who isn't your partner, cultivate a keen intuition so that you can distinguish the underlying danger. This fluttering could be a sign that your bond with your spouse is weakening and needs to be strengthened. Rather than allowing yourself to be distracted or enticed by these feelings, take proactive steps to invest significant time, energy, and emotional commitment into strengthening your bond with your family and your partner. If your partner isn't ready, that's okay. Take the initiative. Actively seek ways to connect, share your innermost thoughts and feelings. Sincerely express your affection, watering the flower of love to nurture and strengthen your relationship. You will realize that when the foundation of your relationship is strong, there is less of a need to wonder. We'll once again come to understand that marriage is a profound bond, not something to be taken lightly. Marriage is just the beginning. To stay together until death tears you apart requires devotion, effort, and an understanding of the universe's ways and challenges. It is not just about fulfilling a duty or obligation. It is about a deep, enduring love that withstands the test of time, and about recommitting again and again to your partnership with each passing day. I hope that everyone facing these thin lines in their life will find the strength and peace to overcome these trials of love. let us realize that even the most alluring and harmonious relationships can be tests of our character. By successfully navigating these subtle, nuanced trials, we can significantly improve our points with the universe. And after everything, the greatest reward is perhaps the gift of peaceful nights and a clear conscience, the fulfilling smiles of our children as they face their own parents, as they face their own future. Best wishes of peace and love to everyone. December 2024, Lê Đỗ Quỳnh Hương and MayQ team.